Hey, for anybody that needs wristbands, Patton has them. We're giving Courtney some if y'all need to get them after. And there's a pass out tomorrow if you need them, but they have them right now.
The Senate will now come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by Chief of Staff Tax, followed by a moment of silence and reflection.
If willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. You guys may need to hold this when you come up here. Pointing that out.
The clerk will now call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect.
Baber. Roxy. Barnes. Barr. Bean. Bracy. Bryant. Byer. Calder. Cost. Creed. Durham. Felix. Galavati. Goldstein. Bruner. Haber. Hamilton. Harvey. Hensley. Hurd. Howe. Kay. Kwame. LaPinta. Lapsley. Lynn. Malachi. Isabella Miller. Montalto. Morgan. Peterson. Rangavajula. Ravi. Sane. Sellers. Spittler. Tanner. Vaught. Wall. Wenzel. Whitehead.
With the quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of January 17th, 2024 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports of Senate leadership. Chairman Bryant, you are recognized to give a report on the Rules Committee.
Good evening, everybody. Of course, I am not Senator Baber, but Rules Committee met the other day. 2 pieces of legislation were approved. You'll see them this evening. The committees gave their internal reports. With that, I will yield to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We'll now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairwoman Creed, you are recognized.
So academics met Monday at 6 as usual. We're continuing to work on our initiatives about lab fee transparencies and new student and transfer student orientations. We have a piece of legislation that's hitting the floor by Senator LaPinta, but at her request, I'm going to table that for 1 week when the motion period comes about, just because she wants to be here to talk to you guys a little bit more about it, and to give an update on our transfer student orientations. Senator Bean and Sellers met with Jennifer Asuzu. I probably did not pronounce that correctly, but who's the Assistant Director of New Student Orientations, to talk about some of the concerns that we've had as transfer students about the orientation process. And they were very receptive to all of the problems and concerns that we had. So they'll be working with my senators to expand the post-orientation survey to reach a bigger sample of students and to work a little bit more closely on adjusting it and making it more catered to people who have already been in school and are just moving to a new one. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We'll now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairwoman Durham, you are recognized.
All right, hi everyone. Hope you've had a great week. This past meeting, we met on Friday, and we approved a total of $2,764.15. Additionally, we have a new vice chairperson, so congratulations to Vice Chairman Lynn. With that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Ravi, you are recognized.
Hi guys, big week in health and safety as usual. So I know I've been talking about the menstrual product drive for the past few weeks. So it is now official, the dates are set, everything else is set, and we will be sending out the form to sign up for Pius Senator very shortly, either now within or by the end of the session. So please, please, please sign up for that. The event itself will be Monday, February 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. And to make it so that everybody else can be at the thing, we are doing it in 15 minutes time slots, so it's not that big of a time commitment either. So come for 15 minutes, come get pied in the face. It's for a good cause. And if you're unable to do that, please at least donate menstrual products if you can, either a box of pads or tampons, to the back of the LSC anytime from the week of January 29th to February 2nd. We'll be putting graphics in the SG Group Me. We'll also be putting the signups in the SG Group Me and be continually reminding you guys throughout the rest of this week as well as next week, so there's no way that you can say you didn't know about it because it will be overly advertised. In addition, we have a piece of legislation that's hitting the floor written by Senator Isabel Miller today. And then we're also working on our initiatives, including writing legislation regarding mold in dorms on campus, regarding U101 reform, and then we will also be working on SAVIP legislation, specifically putting hotline numbers on the Carolina card. And then with addition to that, we are also working on collaborating with Student Life to have a Hip Hop Wednesday table where we will be conducting a mental health survey for people of color, specifically black students on campus. We will be offering donuts in exchange for that, and all of the data that we receive, we will be sending to a resource on campus that can help better augment mental health resources on our campus for people of color. With that being said, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Inclusion and Equity Committee. Is there anyone willing to give a report? Senator Gruner, you are recognized.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Equity and Inclusion met on Wednesday on 4 on Zoom. We've got a lot of things we're trying to work on. First, continuing with what Senator Ravi brought up, we are working to do that Hip Hop Wednesday event. I'm not going to go over everything since she already repeated it. I just want to do a little shout out to Senator Felix for dubbing it with the name of Table of Love from Student Gov. So we'll be focusing on moving that forward over the next couple of days. We're also going to be trying to work with the Academics Committee, starting to do more local school supply drives. So we're going to be trying to do some fundraising regarding that. We're also going to be reaching out to the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. A lot of the idea with that is going to be focusing on legislation to promote LGBTQ+ resources and promotion. And the last thing that we're kind of starting to touch on will be a club organization fair, which we're going to try and do to bring out clubs that, don't get to pop in as many times for other student affairs. With that, I yield the questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator?
Thank you.
Saying none, thank you so much. We'll now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairman Bryant, you are once again recognized.
Good evening again, everybody. So there were two matters of business for Judiciary. We met this past Friday at 1 p.m. in the LSC, our per usual. So first off, just because it's quick and easy, we did elect a new vice chair, so we now have Vice Chairwoman Hamilton. So congratulations to her. The second order of business we had was SBL 11548, which you'll be seeing this evening on the contested calendar. The report from the Judiciary Committee is that it was found unanimously unfavorable. That's why it's been moved to contested. I will save my explanation and the report on specifically about the why and the reasoning for that bill during the debate period. I don't think this is the proper forum for it, but I will yield to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman?
Thank you.
We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairman Harvey, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, we had 2 interviews, one this week, one last week. Both candidates were found favorable, so you'll hear from me in the motion period. And we're also going to be working on creating a presentation about what Senate is to hopefully help some of the newer senators or to get people more involved in Senate in the future. I yield my time to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairwoman Malachi, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. So it wasn't a busy week in student life. Unfortunately, we didn't meet due to miscommunication. Everyone's still working on their personal initiatives, and if you are in my committee, if you could please stay after the Senate meeting so we can have a small meeting. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Is there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairman Hensley, you are recognized.
Hey y'all, so sustainability did not meet this week, but our senators have still been hard at work. So first, Senator Rangavajula and some others have been working on finding ways to make our finance codes more sustainable. Otherwise, we have just been generally working on getting towards a revised climate action plan for the university. And for those of y'all that are in my committee, if you could please come to Monday's meeting at 7 with just some ideas of smaller action items that we can do while we are working on those bigger projects. I yield my time for questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Is there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now have a report from the Freshman Council. Are there any representatives from the Freshman Council present? You guys are recognized to come down and give a report before the body.
Hey y'all, my name is Timothy George.
My name is Neha Valbaneni.
And representatives from Freshman Council here to talk about the initiatives that we're doing. So first, the Health and Safety Committee is planning a physical and mental safety event where people can hear from mental health ambassadors about the resources available to all students. They want to give out personal alarms to the meeting as well to promote physical safety while on campus. The Sustainability Committee is hoping to collaborate with the Ronald McDonald House and Greek Life in doing a pop tab drive, and all pop tabs will be given to the recycling center. On the same note, they are promoting the Echo app as well. They did a competition last semester in which they won, so they can use this app for the entirety of this semester. And they're hoping to work with the Daily Gamecock to promote this app and get more people to use it on campus. And then the Community Outreach Committee wants to reach out to City Council to hopefully plan out a time where freshman council representatives can come to a City Council meeting and talk about the things that we're doing, hopefully get connections with City Council members, and have their help in planning initiatives. We're also hoping to do a transitions homeless shelter day where we go there, we do like a blanket drive too, give out blankets, also just help out with the homeless shelter. And yeah, it should be a fun day. And if you went to the Epsworth Orphanage Christmas party last semester, it should be very similar to that.
So Student Life just had their Carolina Cost-Off event, which was a huge success. They're solidifying plans for a midterm Celsius handout on February 21st, which is all about fueling up for midterms and keeping mind and body fueled to continue the semester strong. They also talked about doing a spin the wheel tabling event where the students spin a wheel, answer a question about campus resources, and win some food and snacks. And then, so DEI is currently working on planning the Hollings Gala, which will feature historical archives and highlight the stories of marginalized communities within the state of South Carolina. It is a black tie event on February 8th at 6 p.m. We're currently working on pushing out flyers in the upcoming week, inviting guest speakers, and getting refreshments for the event. We hope to see everyone out there. And with that, we yield our time to questions.
The representatives yield to questions. Are there any questions for the representatives? Senator Hamilton. Granted. Any other questions for the representatives? Seeing none, thank you guys so much. Let's give them a round of applause. We are now in line to hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Buchmeier, you are recognized.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It's always good to be back. As always, not much to update y'all on. Apparently, the robes have been ordered, and it's the whole process. They'll be coming in eventually, so that's happened. But besides that, I have nothing to report this time. With that, I yield the question.
The Chief Justice yields to questions. Is there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Speaker of the Student Senate, Cameron Eubanks. Chief of Staff Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to keep it short and simple and to the point. Just a reminder that next week we will have a lot of faculty and staff here for the finance presentation, so everybody needs to be in business professional. You guys all did an excellent job today, so this is exactly what I need to see next week. Again, if you have any questions or need anything, you can come shop in my closet. You can go to Carolina Closet. I will help provide you with any resources that you need. Just so you know, we will be hosting a Senate open house prior to Senate session next week. It'll be at 4:30 in Ballroom B. So please try to come. That's a great time to come mingle with faculty and staff, talk to them about your legislative plans, especially finance. You guys can talk to them about your financial plans. So please try to attend. As for health and safety, the menstrual product drive, or PIA Senator, if you guys do participate in that, if you bring a product, that will be considered an event. And if you actually get pied, that is considered another event. So if you do both, that'll be one excused absence that is taken off of your record. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief of Staff? And point of information, I'm probably going to be there the entire time to get pied, so if I can do it, you also can do it as well. So please come, enjoy. Senator Ravi. Do you have a motion or a question? I have a motion. Senator Ravi. Well, not a motion. Point of information, Senator Ravi. Any other questions for the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, thank you so much. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Treasurer. Treasurer Augsbach Lama, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. Not much of a report from my office this week. I met with the president of the sports organizations this week. Just to kind of go over some questions he had about our funding and kind of compare and contrast how the two different organizations go about allocating funding. Other than that, just if you have any ideas on initiatives you want to start or anything like that, make sure you reach out about funding. Other than that, I yield to questions.
The Treasurer yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Treasurer? Seeing none, thank you so much. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Vice President. Chief of Staff Badinsky, you are recognized.
Hey guys, so recently in the VP's office, we got to meet with the Princeton Review Market Director here from the Southeast. Froco, if you guys know Myron from Froco, he's the one that initially put that on our radar, so big shouts out to him. It was brought to our attention, the benefits of partnering with them, and then we received a good bit of details on what that would look like if we were to enact that partnership. Up next, we wanted to encourage everybody in here, and then all of your friends as well, apply for the Student Gov scholarships. We have 3 of them, and they're open until March 17th. If you want to find them, the link is in the Instagram bio. Really easy process, but legit, everyone in here should at least apply, and then tell your friends too as well. It's free money, guys. And then finally, we've got comms working on a digital annual report similar to the one that we like actually printed last year. If there's anything that you think should be included in that report, please let one of our comms directors know. Also, on that same note, if you guys have any Student Gov pictures from all year, please go ahead and put those in the photo circle. We want to make sure that everybody that we can get involved in that is in that digital, what did I say? Digital annual report. And yeah, one more. Tomorrow we are going to be, or not tomorrow, but in the near future, we're meeting with the Career Center director, and we're going to talk about any potential collaborations we could do for Student Gov. And with that, I yield to questions.
The Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief of Staff? Senator Morgan.
You know, that's a great question, Senator Morgan. I appreciate it. It resounds with me, and I would love to text you an answer when I check on that. Perfect.
Any
if I pointed, I can just say it, yeah. $500.
And point of information, those scholarships are available to anyone in the student population here. So it doesn't just have to be a student government member that applies. So if you know anyone that is looking to apply for some scholarships, definitely point them that way. Chairwoman Ravi.
You can, if you stay here for your grad school career. Thank you, Emma.
Point of information, if you plan to go to a graduate school here at the University of South Carolina, there's a scholarship that you are eligible for. Any other questions for the Chief of Staff? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are now in line for a report from the student body president. President Thompson, you are recognized.
Hey all. Well, first of all, I want to welcome St. John's Christian Academy student government execs. They're here with us to observe Senate, so we're super excited to have them with us. But just some updates from me. We had Board of Trustees retreat this weekend, this Friday and Saturday, and a lot of that was spent on master planning. I had the opportunity to present, and so the 3 topics I presented on were parking, campus activity fee, and the new student union. With parking, they love the tiered parking model idea of kind of staggering garages based on proximity to the heart of campus and making them a little bit more valued for their worth. They also are really excited about the technology that's going to be implemented in the surface lots and the garages and metered spots. In terms of campus activity fee, they are super excited to hear an exact number, so I'm really excited for y'all's presentation next week and to have all of that data. I know y'all have been working hard. New Student Union definitely got a lot of traction. I'm sure you guys have seen the articles and just gotten some questions. They are very pro a New Student Union. There is a lot of emphasis there. There's a huge momentum right now. The discrepancies now are where is that union going to be feasible and where is it going to be located. I believe from a student affairs side, we are still pushing for it to be where it is now, but making sure that we're able to maintain that student experience during what could be construction by making sure that standalone dining facility and student activity facility is built prior to this building ever coming down, if that comes into fruition. But in general, on the master plans, I think one of the big emphasis that I had and the president has is that it's not an either or on projects. Things are going to happen at the same time. So for those of you that have been fielding questions about we need more housing, we need more parking garages, et cetera, that stuff will happen just as a new student union would happen. So housing projects and student activity projects can happen at the same time. I think if growth is going to continue, which it seems to be doing, we're going to have to accommodate that from an infrastructure perspective. We also approved the contract for Bryce Bible, who is the new CIO. He will start March 1st. So I know I talked with y'all about how the Wi-Fi presentation in December was super successful, and he'll be getting a budget to prioritize campus-wide network modernization. So whenever he starts, he will get to work on that, and he's super eager to work with student government. He actually watched our little Friends intro video on our Instagram before doing his interview here, so that was really special. Government relations is in their busy season. Thank you all so much for your help with Carolina Day thank you cards. I think we've actually run out of legislators to write to, which has never happened, so really appreciate that from y'all. Our local lobbying agency met with the mayor today, so excited to update y'all on that next week. And our national lobbying agency will be traveling to DC February 25th, so they're getting their reports ready and preparing for all of that. Also, I know y'all probably saw in the group me because we've been getting a lot of responses, but there is a form to fill out for a Department Collaboration Award. This will be rewarding a department that's worked well with student government this year, just to kind of incentivize different university departments working with us in the future. So this year's is between USCPD and Gamecock Athletics, and there's descriptions of what they've worked on with us this year in that form. And then just as a reminder, State of the Student Body is next Thursday, February 1st in Rutledge Chapel. Board and administration will be there. There'll be light hors d'oeuvres to follow the event. So if you've not already and there's anything specific you would like in that speech, please give that to me or the speaker's staff. And with that, I will yield to questions.
The student body president yields to questions. Are there any questions for the president? Seeing none. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other? The clerk will now read.
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate concerning the resignation of Brandon Miller from the position of Student Senator.
Received. Continuing on, the clerk will now read. Hearing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in line for the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator Morgan. There's been a motion to remove Senator Morgan from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Any other motions? Chairwoman Creed. There's been a motion to table SBL 11549 for approximately 1 week. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is tabled until next week. Any other motions? Chairwoman Durham. There's been a motion to put SBL 11551 on the first reading calendar. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is hereby put on the first reading calendar for first reading tonight. Any other motions on the floor? Senator Calder. There's been a motion to remove Senator Calder from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Second. Without objection, so ordered. Senator Whitehead. There's been a motion to remove Senator Whitehead from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sain. There's been a motion to remove Senator Sain from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sain. There's been a motion to add Senator Sain to the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairman Harvey. There's been a motion to confirm those nominees to the position of Student Senator. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The nominees are confirmed. Any other motions on the floor? Chairman Harvey. There's been a motion to suspend the rules to allow the nominees to be confirmed. Is there a second? Second. Without objection, so ordered. The rules have been suspended. If the two nominees can come down to the front, as your oath of office will be delivered by Chief Justice Buchmeier. Congratulations to the newly appointed student senators. You guys may now take a seat amongst the body. Is there any other motions on the floor? Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense with the motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. Their clerk will now read.
SBL 11550, introduced by Senator Miller, a recommendation to honor the life of Carlton Thompson, aka Gamecock Jesus, at the Colonial Life Arena.
Senator Miller, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Pretty basic legislature. Anyone who's ever been to like a Carolina basketball game has seen Gamecock Jesus or Carlton Thompson. He recently lost his life to cancer in December, so we thought it would be a good idea to honor him with a placard or some type of memorial inside Colonial Life Arena. I know currently they have reserved his seat for the remainder of the season, but I thought it would be nice to put something a little bit more permanent in place. And with that, I yield to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Is there any questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you so much. The legislation is referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on the call, the introduction for new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11551, introduced by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Senate Finance Committee to allocate funds to student organizations.
Chairwoman Durham, you're recognized to speak on the legislation.
Hi everyone, this is just the regular piece of legislation that we pass every week. It's a total of $2,764.15 going to the academic team.
Do you yield to questions?
I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Saying none, thank you so much. Is there a motion to pass this by acclamation? Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. The legislation is adopted. Continuing on the call of the introduction of new legislation. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the uncontested calendar. Their clerk will now read. Hearing none, that completes the call of the uncontested legislation. We are now on the call of the contested calendar. Their clerk will now read.
SBL 11548, introduced by Senator Lynn and Whitehead, a bill to specify the notice and enforcement of absence policy.
Senator Lynn and Whitehead, you're recognized to speak on the legislation.
Hey everyone, just kind of a quick overview real quick. The bill is intended to address the oversight that we currently have in regards to what happens if a senator doesn't get voted off the first time. This bill makes the process more deliberate and makes the voting mandatory until either the senator has been voted off or the Senate has decided by supermajority vote that they should or that they don't deserve to be voted off, and the mandatory voting would be suspended. This bill is not intended to sway or influence any sort of views. It's simply meant to guide and solidify the Senate into a more deliberate, unified body and to have this process written down in code. After speaking with some of the fellow senators, I think the main issue is the clause in regards to the requirement for 2/3 vote to suspend the mandatory voting. While I think definitely it could be seen as a way to earn back the absences, which is definitely a valid reasoning that people might be against it, I think the main reason that I've put this clause in is to once again address all the possibilities. Should a senator come up with valid reasoning, and should Senate as a body, as 2/3 majority, decide that the reasoning is valid, I feel that there's no point in continuing to bring up the matter should Senate decide that they don't wish for the senator in violation to be voted off. And I would like to clarify that this clause only null and void the mandatory voting, and should a Senate personally wish to call a motion, there's nothing that stops him from calling a motion a vote. but I trust that senators will use their common sense and that if the majority of Senate decides the senator in question doesn't deserve to be voted off, I think we're in agreement that they have valid reasoning. I yield the floor to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Is there any questions for the senator? Chairman Hensley. Granted. Chairman Hensley. Granted. Any other questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you so much. We are now in a period of debate on the bill. Does any senator wish to speak on this bill? Chairman Bryant, you're recognized.
Good evening again, everybody. So I'm going to try to just go through kind of like the reasoning and explanation behind why the Judiciary Committee found it unanimously unfavorable. And just for transparency, that's voted like 10-0 unfavorable. So it's a rather large committee. So essentially what we found, and I think Senator Lynn does hit it on the head, that the clause that mentions suspension, we just found that it's essentially adding a layer to a cake that's already too many layers and further complicates the process that legislation earlier in this term was meant to address, which was to overhaul our absence policy to try to make it, in my eyes, more transparent, more generous, and more equitable. And the committee just believes that this is just further complicating it. The one thing the committee liked was the fact that it was specifying that every subsequent meeting you would have to vote on that motion. Someone would have to bring the motion up every single time. We do believe the codes, and in my own statutorial interpretation, is that it is slightly gray about whether or not it's mandated to bring the vote back up every time. The committee does like that aspect. The idea of an amendment was floated around, but I developed a thing called the like substantive change threshold, that's what I call it. And so essentially, I believe that an amendment should only change a bill from small substantive changes, meaning like the actual meat of the bill, and not essentially like 98% of the bill. We would have kept 2% and essentially eliminated 98%. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it's valid and appropriate to do through an amendment process, which would be controlled purely by the committee. I think that'd be better left up to the authors, or it could be brought back up in a subsequent bill that would come later on. Personally, and just kind of as a representative of the Judiciary Committee, I tend to disagree a little bit with Senator Lynn in terms of the reasonableness of some people's explanations for absences. I believe there really are no reasonable excuses for unexcused absences due to the fact that the Speaker's office has taken steps and measures to be very generous in terms of permitting and allowing excused absences. And I believe they're going to continue to do that. It's like as the Speaker has said, and as Chief of Staff Tax has said, it's simply, I mean, in most cases, just finding someone to represent you, a proxy, and by texting to let her know that you won't be here. And I think that's a very low threshold, and we think that this bill would kind of upset that and change that. And just my last final point is I think we're meant to be here to be representatives for the student body and do the students' work. And I believe that the codes we already have in place do a job at keeping us accountable. And so I would encourage you, and as representative of the Judiciary Committee, to not vote aye on this piece of legislation. And I'll yield to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Is there any senator wishing to speak on the bill? Senator Lynn, you're recognized.
I'm back again. Well, I'd like to thank Senator Bryant for bringing up these points, and I'd like to thank the Judiciary Committee for bringing this matter to the table. I definitely see that as a valid reasoning, and I agree with the sentiment that as senators, we are here to represent the students, and should we violate that, we should be held accountable. I would like to clarify that if the bill were to pass without the clause, should Senate, as what I would like to think is as a whole, 2/3 minimum, decide that a senator truly deserves suspension of mandatory voting, regardless of what we as a Senate feel, we would still have to continue to vote on the matter, even if we all believe that the senator does not deserve to be voted off. I'd also like to note that as far as my time here and as far as I know, the precedent has been that every senator who has been called onto the floor for absence violation has been voted off either the first time or the second time. So I really don't see this specific clause coming into play reasonably or just reasonably or possibly. This is simply to address the just-in-case scenario of if we believe as a whole that they deserve to be, I wouldn't say pardoned, but given an exception for whatever reason they may provide, and that we aren't forced to vote on the matter despite us believing that we shouldn't have to vote on the matter anymore. And I yield the floor to questions.
Senator Lynn yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there any other senator wishing to speak on the bill? Senator Whitehead, you're recognized.
I think that the point of this was to streamline this process. So when we're voting every single time, bringing it up, who's here changes, the vote changes, it becomes, I feel in the past when it happened, it to me seemed unfair when we did a second vote without giving anyone any time to rectify the situation when it was the same explanation given at hand, the same vote. So this is a chance to streamline this process. And like we said, if we all vote out immediately, or if they don't get the 2/3 to stop this vote, your voice is still heard and you're still able to vote every time if you wish. This is simply to streamline the process if in a specific instance, in a specific situation, if we do not wish. Does that make sense? Okay, I yield to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Senator Lapsley. Point of information, the forgiveness policy was passed into a piece of legislation following both votes of removal earlier in the first semester. Any other questions for the senator?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Chairman Bryant, you're yes, sir, Chairman Bryant. There has been a motion to call the previous question of passage of this legislation. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will now move to a vote on the bill. The question is of final passage of SBL 11548, introduced by Senator Lynn and Whitehead, a bill to specify the notice and enforcement of the absence policy. This shall be a roll call vote since it was on the contested second reading calendar. The clerk will now call the roll. In your vote, you can call an aye in the affirmative, which means passage of the legislation, and a nay in the negative, which means not passage of the legislation. The clerk will now call the roll.
Baber.
Proxy, nay.
Barnes. Barr. Bean. Bracy. Bryant.
Nay.
Byer. Calder. Cost. Creed.
May the clerk please record that vote as ayes. Chairman Creed is here.
Durham. Felix. Galavati. Goldstein,
Chairman Bryant. Was Senator Felix vote recorded? It was. No, you're good. We'll resume with the senator after Senator Felix.
Galavati, Goldstein, Bruner, Haber, Hamilton, Harvey, Hensley, Hurd, Howe, Kay, Kwame, LaPinta, Lapsley, Lynn, Malachi, Miller, Montalto, Morgan, Peterson, Rangavajula, Ravi, Sane, Sellers, Spittler, Tanner, Vaught, Wall, Wenzel, Whitehead,
Is at the end of the roll, with the exception of the 2 vacant seat senators. All right. Is there a motion to take a 2-minute recess to calculate the votes? Without objection, so ordered. We are now taking a 2-minute recess to tabulate the votes. The Senate will now come back to order. Because of some inconclusive results with proxying, we are going to call the roll again. Point of information, if you are proxying from somebody, you need to say proxy and then that person's vote. Abstention is an option, but just a reminder, an abstention is used only in terms of if they have a personal conflict with the material. So if they have a personal conflict with the Senate absence policy and the SG codes and Constitution, you may use an abstention. But in their proxying agreement on Garnegate, they do sign a way that you themselves are acting in their best interests here in the chamber. So again, you may use an abstention, but please use it wisely and please have a reason connected to your abstention. All right, the clerk will now redo the call, and we'll start with the very first name.
Baber. Barnes. Barr. Bean. Bracy. Bryant. Byer.
Senator Bean, was that an aye or a nay? It's a nay. All right, continue. You can continue.
Calder. Cost. Creed. Durham. Felix. Galavati. Goldstein. Gruner. Haber. Hamilton. Harvey. Hensley. Hurd. Howe. Kay. Kwame. LaPinta. Lapsley. Lynn. Malachi. Miller. Montalto. Morgan. Peterson. Rangivajula. Ravi. Sane. Sellers. Spittler. Tanner. Vaught. Wall. Wenzel. Whitehead. Brash. John.
In terms of the two vacant seat senators, there is an option to abstain since this is your first session. Senator Brash, what was your vote? The clerk will now tabulate the votes. By a vote of 13 ayes to 25 nays and 2 abstentions, the legislation does fail. The clerk will now continue on the call of the contested second reading calendar. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Chairwoman Ravi, you are recognized.
Hi guys, so I am going to ask you for your help with regard to the menstrual product drive. I know I'm already having a lot of y'all sign up for it. In addition to that, if you are part of any organization that will do donations for like community service hours, please have your chairs service chairs or whoever reach out to me, I'd like to arrange that. I've already arranged one of these interactions with the gentlemen of Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm really excited to be partnering with them. So if y'all are also part of any other Greek orgs or any other orgs that are willing to do like donations for hours, please let me know. And also, y'all, please donate products. Maybe we can even set up a committee competition or something like that. I don't know, just a thought. But that's all I have to say. After that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. Does any senator wish to bring another matter of attention to the body? Seeing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements on the floor? Senator Calder, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is a great day to be a Gamecock. That is the number one thing I would want to say for this week. We'll start with Saturday with our track and field team breaking records out there on our track up there and near the soccer fields. I also want to say that our swim meet went well. Our men finally won a meet against Duke, so congratulations to our swim team. Also wanted to say about our men's tennis team winning Sunday, beating the number one tennis club in the nation, Virginia. And our women's tennis is also went undefeated Sunday against Coastal Carolina and Presbyterian. And of course, how could I ever forget the amazing win last night at Colonial Life Arena against the number 6 Kentucky Wildcats. And we stormed the court with great gusto, and we are now getting charged $100,000 for doing that. I also want to say this is a very historical win. The last time we ever beat a top-ranked team was against the Wildcats back in 2010. This is also the second time ever that a coach for the men's team has beaten Kentucky twice in a row. This is going all the way back to Darren Horn in the early 2000s. So that's just a little Gamecock trivia, and with that, I do yield.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Senator Morgan.
Senator Calder, would you agree that last night's performance was not just a win, but an absolute decimation of the University of Kentucky men's basketball program?
I will have to say I agree. Even SEC Network agrees. They say this is the best win South Carolina's ever had on a top-ranked team.
Senator Morgan.
Senator Calder, would you say that it would be a travesty if our men's basketball team was not ranked after this?
I will also agree with that. As long as we can secure the win against Missouri at home, we'll be ranked. If we're not ranked, then the AP needs some help figuring out who is a really good team in the SEC.
Chairman Bryant.
I have a two-part question.
Oh, boy.
First, may I ask a two-part question?
You may.
Go ahead.
First question, just yes or no. Did you attend the game?
Yes. Yes, I did.
That leads me logically to my second question. Did you storm the court?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never give this up for a lifetime. I mean, since we did that against Tennessee, last year for football, I had to do this for our court cocks. Absolutely.
Chairman Bryant.
One final question. Due to the fact that you helped the university cost $100,000.
I'm going to germane that question. Please keep the questions at the matter at hand, which is the victory of the men's basketball team, not the SEC fine that we incurred. Any other questions for Senator Calder? In point of information, in no way does student government condone incurring an SEC conference fine. Let me say that for the live stream and for the record, please. Any other questions, Chairman Bryant?
Due to this amazing victory, will you donate to the university to help out?
I cannot do that, but maybe we could ask former President Pastides to do that. He was there as well.
I'm going to germane that. I'm going to germane that. Please have that stricken from the record. Yep. Any other questions for Senator Calder? Seeing none, thank you so much, sir. Point of information, we love your athletic updates. Please keep giving them. Any other senators wishing to bring a matter of attention, or an announcement, excuse me, Senator Morgan.
Just a point of information, we play Clemson Saturday at 10 a.m. in tennis is worth 2 points. All y'all go out and force and see us beat the Tigers.
Senator Morgan.
Motion to appoint Senator Carter as my proxy.
Granted. Senator Morgan. Granted. Senator Sellers, you're recognized. And Senator Bean and Senator Brash, you are also recognized.
Hey y'all. So just a little quick announcement. Wanted to inform y'all of a cool opportunity that is happening this week, next week, excuse me. We are part of Phi Alpha Delta, which is a pre-law fraternity here at USC, and we're actively recruiting, and we would love to see y'all on Tuesday at the interest meeting in the Russell House. It's at 6 p.m. I don't know the room. It's room 303. Being part of a professional organization is such a good thing for your resume. It is so good. It's going to help you so much, and so I could not recommend it more. And I have definitely made lifelong friends in the process of meeting everybody in Phi Alpha Delta. And the good thing about it is that these people are also interested in the same things that you are, and so you make really great connections. So you can join us on Tuesday, January 30th for open chapter and an interest meeting. So that is where you can find me on Tuesday at 6 p.m. And the link to apply, if you're interested in becoming part of it, is on our Instagram, which is Phi Alpha Delta. And I yield my time to questions. Would you like to make a comment?
Hi. Just to let you know, also, we will be at the Student Org Fair tomorrow on Green Street, 11 to 2. Senator Bean is the Mental Health Chair, and I am the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Chairs, and Senator Sellers is the Finance Chair. So we can confidently say that this organization is something that is so inclusive, and we build a community that is supportive and encouraging for our students and our members to be their best authentic selves. And if you are pre-law, or if you know anyone who's pre-law, we would love to see you tomorrow. We would love to see you at recruitment. If you would like to chat, we will drop our numbers into the group me later. Feel free to let us know. We'd love to answer any of your questions, and we'd love to see you. With that, we yield to questions.
The senators yield to questions. Are there any questions for the senators? Seeing none, thank you so much. Any other announcements on the floor? Senator Lynn, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, so a group of senators, including myself, are in the process of rolling out an initiative to establish what we're calling a makerspace on campus. For the time being, we're considering vinyl cutters, t-shirt makers, and anything else that students or organizations on campus would want. If any of you guys are interested in helping out with the initiative, or are a part of or know any clubs, people, organizations who currently want their own merch, want their own t-shirts, hats, etc., or are ordering from a third-party company that would prefer a more affordable option, please let me know, as any feedback from the community is appreciated. Thank you.
Do you yield to questions?
Absolutely.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Chairwoman Ravi.
So we're currently trying to get the space established, and basically, first things first, we would like to know what the community wants. So if you have a club that really wants their own merch, but it might be a smaller club or even a bigger one that wants something more affordable, let me know, and then we'll put that in our report, propose it to whoever, and then hopefully get that space rolled out so we can make our own t-shirts here.
Any other questions? Senator Gruner.
I'm not planning on putting any sort of requirement. It's still definitely in the works, but for the time being, I would like to know what the community thinks of it, and more importantly, if clubs are interested in having a space on campus for more affordable merch.
Any other questions for the senator?
Thank you.
Saying none, thank you so much. Any other announcements on the floor? Seeing none, as always, I do have an announcement. I'll try to keep it pretty brief. But I did, again, just want to thank the St. John's Christian Academy for Execs for coming. We hope you guys have enjoyed watching some really, really cool pieces of parliamentary procedure. You were able to see a roll call vote, which is really exciting, some germane action, and hopefully those type of motions will give you some experience in the field of Robert's Rules 11th edition. And we're so excited to have you. And please feel free to ask us any questions and come back anytime. We are open to any students or special guests. I did just want to go over next week. We have a lot of events coming up, so please listen up. Next week, we have the Student Senate's presentation on financial reform. This has been a 2.5 month project. The committee members have worked really hard to produce an amazing report with tons of research. And this report deals with 3 things. It deals with our massive overhaul of Chapter 3 of the Financial Codes and our organization, which effectively they will offer recommendations to make those codes more equitable and easier to read for student organizations. We will tackle a possible increase in the campus activity fee and what that number and what that will look like and the data that supports that. We will also be talking about the new student union and talking about the students' appetite on paying for the new student union. So those are 3 very important topics, and so I ask that you come next Wednesday engaged, ready to look at some legislation, ready to read through it, because from that report, legislation may come, and it's important for you guys to stay in the know. They will be presenting using a PowerPoint, so it's going to be super engaging. We're also going to have student org interviews in the PowerPoint, so you'll be able to see student orgs, presidents of student orgs that have gotten money from our organization, but also may not have received the full amount of their request. You'll be able to see their opinion on the matters and get to hear directly from your constituents, which is always a good thing. Right before the Senate session and presentation at 5:30, we will be hosting a Senate open house, like Courtney said. There will be free food. I know that's a draw for a lot of people, but the main draw of this event should be that this is the time for you to interact with administrators, faculty members, and staff members as they are coming to watch our presentation. So this is a good time for you to get to know them to get to know you, talk about any remaining legislative goals you have for the rest of the term. Overall, it's a great networking event as well. Like I said, these professionals are professionals in the industry in higher education. So if that's something you're looking to go into, I'd highly encourage you to come. Each senator will have a name tag, and it will be held in Ballroom B. We did try to get it to be held in the old Senate chambers, and we were going to talk about some historical stuff with it. It was going to be really cool. Unfortunately, there is a scheduling conflict with the old Senate chambers, so we will be holding it in the ballroom. But I hope that you still come out. There'll be good food. It's a nice way to celebrate the committee, but also celebrate the work that you guys have done before we enter the session and get into the presentation. That being said, since adding on the presentation to the reports from Senate leadership, next week is going to be a longer session than most. Like I said, sessions by the codes can go until 9 p.m. So I am not sure what time it will end, but definitely expect to be here past 6:30. And again, it's very important for you to submit proxies if you're going to be absent. If you do not submit a proxy, it is going to be unexcused. So that's very important that you get those absence forms submitted before 5:30 on Wednesday. In addition to next week, we also have the State of the Student Body on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the Rutledge Chapel. You will be getting an email this week about the formal memo and the formal call of the special Senate session on that Thursday. It will start at 6 o'clock. Courtney and I will be taking attendance before. They also sent a attendance and excuse form into the student government-wide GroupMe. But this is your chance to come and hear about the amazing things that you guys did in your term, the amazing things that the other branches did as well. It is a celebration of all of you. Like I said, Board of Trustees members will be there, the president will be there, faculty and staff will be there. So it's a great event. We will open it this year with the very first ever Senate collab in this event. That means we will open the State of the Student Body with the banging of the gavel and with the call to order, and then we will motion to suspend the rules to allow the student body president to come and give a report or the State of the Student Body address before the body, and then we will close out the State of the Student Body with the motion to adjourn and final remarks from myself. So this is the very first time this has ever happened in student government history where the Senate has been able to be a part of this event. And it's really cool. If you're a political science nerd like me, it kind of models what we do with our State of the Union without all of the hullabaloo with the different people standing up and sitting down. But this is obviously a better version than that. But it's going to be a really cool event, and I encourage you to come out. We also will be having a legislative workshop/event coming up within the next 2 weeks. We'll send out more information once we solidify a date. This will be a time for you to come work on your legislation with people from my staff, but also get to work on legislation with each other. Like I said, this is going to be a really awesome event, whether you're a returning senator or a new one. This is going to look completely different than any other legislative workshop or training that you may have attended. And there may be some incentives to coming AE Food. So you should definitely consider coming. And last but not least, again, the menstrual product drive is happening next week. The Pie Center event is the following Monday. Like I said, I will be there the entire time getting pied. Some execs may make some celebrity appearances as well. So if I can be there the entire time, so can you. It's for a great cause. And I think it'll be a great event, and the Health and Safety Committee has worked really hard on it. So please, please come out to that. And I know that was a lot of information, so with that, I will yield to questions. Are there any questions for myself? Seeing none, is there any other announcements on the floor? Seeing none, with no further announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection so ordered, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, January 31st, 2024.